Well, what's up, everybody? This is your girl Erica from the Classic Climb blog, coming today with a Stock Saturday. Now, listen, if you didn't watch yesterday's show, you better go back and watch it. I'm trying to get y'all ready for the fall, and it's going to be an interesting one. So I brought none other than let's make some money in your part-time, highest paid part-time, Mr. Diamond Dave.
How you doing,
Introduce
Erica?
yourself.
How you doing, Erica? Really happy to be here. You want to help people try to put themselves in the best position to make some money. We can't guarantee it, but we're going to really try to help you. And my name is Diamond Dave, also known as David W. Williams, the founder of the highest paid part-time job on the road options trading academy. And let's go ahead and get into what people can kind of look forward to and anticipate to put themselves in the best position to get some money out of this market.
hmm So what are some of the things going on? Because, Friday was like a red Friday. What was going on?
Well, I mean, what people are kind of worried about, one, is inflation issues. People are worried about
Mhm.
inflation, also worried about federal tapering, when that's going to come, what the impact of that will be. And then we also got the supply chain issue hanging over the head of the market. And then normally also 20-year seasonality, October can a lot of times be somewhat volatile in the market. So what we're hoping to do is go into our fourth quarter in a bullish trend, but there's no guarantee of that because we have a lot of things that are kind of overhanging the market. And the market, a lot of times, if they have anxiety or nervousness, one of the things that causes people to try to sell, get out of their position. So what we want to kind of see as we go into the month of November, will we go into more of a bullish trend as we start to approach this fourth quarter, or are we just going to sit around and just remain really, really volatile? Because the market over the past 2 weeks has been very what we call choppy. So you don't necessarily know, the market may start off positive, close red, start off red, close positive, or be red or green based on what day of the week it is.
hmm So, we've got the supply chain issue, and the crypto folk are going crazy because they say
Yeah.
it's about to be that time for the sell off. What can people do? Like, how can they navigate? Going into the holidays, and it's doing this. How can they navigate?
Well, one of the most important things, this is what I always try to tell my students, is to really try to learn one or two companies really, really well. And
hmm
if you learn one or two companies really, really well from a very pragmatic standpoint, it puts you in a position where you kind of understand how to play these issues. Because let's say hypothetically, you know that a company historically, fourth quarter is more bullish, right?
hmm
And then you see that there may be going into some choppiness where you kind of understand, I know historically they're bullish, even if they may be going through some choppiness right now, I believe they'll recover and go back into a particular bullish pattern. Or if
hmm
you know that historically they may be bearish and they're bullish now because of maybe a season or maybe a specific reason, you know that historically they're probably going to turn back bearish. So one of the most important things I think for any trader is to really understand very specific companies, kind of understand how they trade. So when you have these extenuating circumstances, what happened 9 times out of 10 is they're going to go back to their almost like their scheduled programming or the
hmm
historical trading pattern.
Well, but this is a different kind of year, Dave. This
Yes,
is
ma'am.
like we just had like 2020.
Yeah.
Now we got the supply chain going crazy. Can people still use those same metrics to make sure that'll happen again?
I mean, I think seasonality and patterns are always going to be relevant, but you always got to
hmm
take into account what's going on around it. So the
Right.
market is always volatile, but what we understand by nature, this market in the United States is designed to get bigger and it's designed to expand. So even though we may have some volatility, we may have some choppiness, what do we do know is long term, we're going to be in a bullish trend because
hmm
capitalism is designed to expand and grow bigger. And it's also about growing and taking in more profit. So we know our long term trend most likely will be bullish,
hmm
even though we may have some volatility in between. And we notice if we look at most charts because of the pandemic, what do we see? A big dump. And then we saw a really, really bullish pattern coming out of that. So once the Federal Reserve came in with a lot of tools to help the market, everybody became bullish again. So, one of the biggest things is making sure that the market has a lot of confidence, that the market is a good place to get a return on their investment, and you'll
hmm
get that bullish activity. And now because of crypto, it's kind of been factored into this overall market space, but it's just another place to try to get return at.
hmm
Yes, ma'am.
So who are the big who in China was messing it up for us? Who was messing it up on Friday?
On Friday, so what you saw on Friday, and I watch a lot of Chinese stocks, is a ticker FUTU and also another
hmm
TIGR. And there's supposed to be some regulation coming November 1st
hmm
that maybe has the potential to negatively impact their business. And what we've been seeing with a lot of Chinese stocks is that because of a lot of regulatory issues, that's kind of what's stopping their bullish pattern, right? So those stocks sold off. They also some continue to sell off in the aftermarket. We want to kind of see how they open up in the morning on Monday. But those are kind of things that maybe throw it off. So when you're looking at those tickers, if you're an expert on those companies, you can kind of understand how they trade. Where do you think they're going long term? Or do you just want to get out of your position and kind of wait to see what happens long term?
Ooh, they've been red past 5 days.
Yeah.
They've been red the past month. The past 6 months, they've been bleeding red. Year to date, they were green, though.
Exactly.
A year ago, they were green. 5 months, 5 years. Wow, that's crazy.
So, so you see a lot of people became really bullish on China lately. But we're seeing, because of a lot of regulatory issues, a lot of people are getting scared out of that space. And so we got to kind of wait to see how it settles out, because we got some long-term forecasts in China that can impact investments, that it can maybe be a wait and see for you, or you can be like Charlie Munger, I believe that's his name, from the Berkshire Hathaway group, and you can put a large amount of position in a stock like Alibaba. So it all kind of depends on what you think maybe the long-term forecast of China is, but that really comes from you really knowing the company and kind of understanding what are the prospects for that company. And normally, how does it trade, on a seasonal or on a yearly basis?
Gotcha. Then you got Up Fintech Holdings, or Tiger.
Yes, ma'am. And see, they're affected. They're going to be affected by that same regulation that's coming November 1st, but they've been selling off for some time.
Okay.
So that was a company that had a big run, and then they kind of hit a top, and they've been kind of going down for a little minute. So this regulatory didn't help them at all. They may end up trading at $5 before this is over.
They're hanging out there with Netflix, huh?
Yeah. Netflix gonna have some challenges, but we got to kind of see how this strike on Monday, how that works for them.
Is that you talking about the writer strike?
Yes, the writer. They're really the what we call the I don't know what you call it, but I call it the crew, because I'm coming from a production standpoint. So we call it a production crew. They're supposed to be striking on Monday at 3 Eastern, and we'll see how, because these particular production companies are dependent upon those people to work the crew for the productions. So that could be a big impact. Netflix has an earnings on Tuesday afternoon. So I want to see if they give guidance based around it if the strike actually takes place. But that's what it's looking like so far, is it will take place. So we got to kind of ask ourselves, how will that impact, especially in the streaming space, because they're so dependent upon production, making sure they got content, unlike maybe a Disney that has a really long reservoir of content that they already know that works.
Oh, they going to strike. I got 2 friends who work in compliance out there in California on set. Okay. They already packed it up on Thursday. They had already came and did a meeting, like, go ahead and take your stuff with you. Go home and take that with you. Okay, have a good day. So they doing it.
Yeah. And so what's
she doing? I'm like, what you doing home? She's like, girl, they're at home.
And so what's interesting, nobody's really talking about that, but I think if that strike is prolonged, it can impact industry, because we know in that 30-mile zone, pretty much the whole economy is based on production.
Well, here's the problem too with that. Last time they did this strike, I mean, it canceled like a slew of shows because they had striked so long. But this is what I see in our marketplace. We're going to have a bunch of labor strikes this fall.
Yeah.
A bunch. We're going to have between medical reasons and also people complaining about wages, but that's inflation. Yeah. That's when people don't even realize, oh, they need to pay us more. Your job didn't change.
Exactly.
You still at work goofing off on Facebook all day. Yeah. Come on now.
Yeah.
They will just have to study more, equal understand the market. I could agree.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, you got a lot here. Steady. Banks are in good shape.
Yeah. Banks have really good earnings. I was going to do a video on this. Their trading desk was killing it. Mm-hmm. So the trading desk of these banks, they're killing it. They're killing it trading equities, trading securities. So yeah, banks was in really, really good shape. They're getting right back in the situation. But the question is, they're making a lot of money on trading desks, but that doesn't really help out the consumer. What we need is what the banks need from the consumer standpoint is they need to sell loans.
Yes. So I mean, to me, every time I go by a bank, I'm like, y'all not giving money? How y'all staying open?
Exactly. Yeah. So a lot of these bigger banks, especially these investment banks, they making all their money off their trading desk. But we want to try to figure out is a consumer banks and commercial banks, are they going to be able to make their money selling loans? But the question with money being so cheap, they may be like, we're not even tripping on selling loans. We'll just do mortgages and just keep it going.
Yes, basically.
Yeah.
So read that one for us.
So Baba has a fintech on where they already taken it away. I'm not 100% sure. I will have to study that to figure out if Baba took away that fintech arm. I know that they've been under a lot of selling pressure lately. They were at $300 at one time not that long ago. They're trading now around 160, 170. They've lost a lot of shareholder value over the past 6 months.
Excuse me, I apologize, y'all.
And this is supposed to be like the Amazon of Asia. I think they still have that potential, but they're under a lot of regulatory pressure. And they're just in a volatile environment.
So a lot of the articles are basically saying, set to go into effect November 1st. Somebody asked the question, and I see it. The personal information protection law could make it harder for Chinese citizens to open up accounts with. So this basically protects consumer data and sent outside the country. The people's daily could be problematic. Now here's the problem I have with this.
Okay.
And I'll be careful. People come to America, they make their money in America, but they send it somewhere else, right? We have people go open up businesses in the inner city, quotation mark, code words here, and then they don't reinvest in the neighborhood. They complain about how the neighborhood's going down.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to clean up more than just where this little block is, sir.
Exactly.
You know, and so if you take your money and you dump it in China and you lose it, I don't feel like as Americans we should have to worry about you. You went up and over there. I love saying that because I mean it. You went up and put your money over there.
Yeah.
However they handle you is how they handle you. Now, if you're an American, you live in America, you're born in America, should you have some issues investing in these, you know, then we got some more to talk about. But yeah, they fell 26% this week.
Yeah, that's a lot. So that's almost a 30% fall in 5 days. And so that's a lot.
That is a lot.
And we still pushing towards November 1st, so we got to figure out.
They fall more.
Exactly. And the thing about FUTU, they got a long way to fall. Tiger pretty much don't have too much more to fall, so they might just start trading sideways.
Just $5 every day.
Yeah, just about $5. Yeah. So, but Futu, they got a long way to fall. And that's what you've seen. If you look at a lot of these Chinese stocks, ever since the top of the year, they've just been selling off. So it could be a good opportunity because you may be getting at the bottom. Because if you believe Alibaba's going back to 300, well, you can get in at 170. The question is,
they can't with the way the supply is. They can't.
Yeah,
ain't no way.
Yeah, but you got to be, so if you're long term in it, like Charlie Munger, who probably will pass away holding that stock, then you just got to kind of look at a long term perspective. But you just got to understand the volatility of the environment and then what's impacting it. And also that business model with Alibaba with these supply chain issues, they can't get their products to where they need to go to sell them.
Right. So here's an article. It says most other Chinese tech firms are also sliding. And then so I just pulled them up right here. This one's $1.56. I mean, how much more low can it go, right? Oh man, like this is the 5 year. This is a bad. They having a bad couple of years here.
Yeah, you're sliding down.
They like we $1.50. What you want us to do? Here's the other one. This one is $5.70. Okay. Let me look at the 5 year. Okay, so it was down and it rode it up. It rode up. What's the momentum? What's the play?
It's sliding back down. So with those, it just be a wait and hold, or like you say, just see how do they deal with that particular regulation, and which one do you believe had the most long-term prognosis. But I want to tell people, a stock being cheap is not always a good. It doesn't mean it's a great situation to invest in, because sometimes they're cheap for a reason. So what a lot of people do is they see a stock being very, very inexpensive, and they figure, well, I don't lose anything if I invest in it because it's so cheap. But you could always put your money somewhere else where you can get a return, because the goal is to get a return, not buy stuff real cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm in Detroit. I can tell you, my goal is for the tenants to pay their rent. Exactly. It ain't there just the beautiful Detroit.
Yeah.
This one right here is at $5, and it's like rocky roads up in here.
Yeah, it's real volatile. And so that's what you got to worry about. So that's the thing. A lot of people get attracted to cheap tickers. But it's a reason why it's cheap. It doesn't mean it's a good investment because it's cheap.
It's on $20 whole dollars, but it's only been around since 2019.
Yeah, it's a short-term company.
And
you got to ask in that company with the way in which the Chinese government wants to really safeguard information, that could be a threat against those particular companies, because you never know what's going to be the next regulatory measure. because the Chinese government is very aggressive about making sure that information moves the way they want it to move inside that country. Because I know Elon Musk had to convince them that the data that they were going to be capturing on Teslas in China, he wouldn't give any of that data to the United States.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but he had to assure them of that, else they probably wouldn't let him operate over there.
Well, let's just be honest. The vehicle is mapping the road. That's what it does, right? That's what the vehicle does. Like even now, y'all, I'm not even trying to be funny. I got a little old car, and my 4Runner take gas, but my little car, I put $20 in just riding. The gas went up, and I was like, I want a Tesla. If I gotta put $25, what's going on? So I'm in Texas, and like people think that, oh, Erica, Tesla. I'm like, y'all, there's more Teslas than you know, because it's really like, you know, if I lived in California, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right? It's a no-brainer. But these articles, you can go down rabbit hole, y'all, but it's really interesting stuff going on over there. What other ways can they safeguard themselves from China?
So what I really, and I was talking this today on my channel, is that what I would really encourage investors to do is to do some real due diligence. So one of the things I really try to communicate, and something that we talked a lot on this show, is that when you see a good business environment, it's a result of government policy. We've created this narrative in America that we don't want any government policy, but we believe that's going to allow us to do more business. But in reality, you'll probably do less business because you won't have any way to enforce any kind of laws regulating business. So when you're looking at China, I would tell all investors to start with the Constitution of the Communist Party of China and understand the government structure that they're looking to operate under. Then also look at the Constitution of the People's Republic of China, because that's also going to be the government structure in which those businesses are going to have to operate under. And then you can kind of understand the environment that these businesses in China are going to have to operate within. So you have the government policy, the government rules and regulations, and the business have to exist in that particular environment. Be willing to do that due diligence. Then once you've done that due diligence and you kind of got an analysis of the environment, then you can try to determine, based on that analysis, what businesses do I think are going to be in the best position to operate profitably and not be on the opposite side of being an antagonistic relationship with a government that can shut them down at any time. Because in China, you don't have the lobbying, you don't have the redress against government that you may have inside the United States. And I think a lot of American investors, we look at Chinese companies the way we look at American companies, and you can't look at them because they operate in a totally different environment. So when you're looking at an environment to where a billionaire, one of the richest men in China, if not the richest man in China, can be told by the government that he essentially has to go away from the public for an undetermined time until they make him aware of it. And because he understands the kind of people that he's dealing with, he conforms to that request. Then any business is liable to go up under that particular scenario. And so what you're dealing with is an environment in which there is a lot of volatility. Xi is trying to become, I think, president for a third term. That can create more volatility. And if he's unsuccessful at that, the person that's going to come behind him, we don't know their regulations and their policies, then that can create also more volatility. So there's a lot of analysis that you want to do. Sorry, go ahead.
I apologize. They kind of remind me of Russia. You know how Russia had they got people already ready to just stand up like, nah, KGB got this other dude we want to put up here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he should know if he goes. He should know more than anybody if he's about to win his third term.
Yeah, but but at that, the issue is at that because he's considered like the party elite. He has to convince the other. Let's say we're a group of 5 people. Yeah. He has to kind of convince them that I'm the best guy for president this third term. They may be like, no, we want to put this other person in. So we don't know about the internal struggles. But you're right. They already have like a short list of guys they want to run it based on where they're trying to go. But I would tell any investor in China to really understand what the government, the Communist Party of China, where they're trying to take the country. Because I think a lot of times we have this impression that what is going on right now is where they're trying to take it. But based on their own literature, where they're trying to take the country is totally different than what we have going on right now.
Well, once I saw them talk about no more girly men on TV, no more this, no more that, I'm like, okay, they about to do some new stuff. They ain't playing with y'all.
Yeah, definitely. You start looking at their prosperity initiatives where they may be taking profits out of companies to try to supplement the income of the poor people. And that's going to be compulsory. It's going to be mandatory. It's not going to be something that people are going to be able to vote or get out. So like in America, large corporations can do a lot of, I wouldn't call it tax avoidance. I would call it very sophisticated tax strategies.
Yes.
So so they can utilize that because the laws allow them to do it. It's not against the law. It's legal. You just got to find the right people that know how to do it. In China, they won't allow that type of stuff. You're going to do what we tell you to do. And it's going to essentially be uniform across the board. I used to deal with I used to buy email traffic from some Swedes, and not to get off China, but it's similar scenario where they told me that Warren Buffett would go to prison in that country because the tax laws are so strict. You can't try to get out of paying taxes. You just got to pay. You just got to pay whatever they tell you to pay. Yeah, you just got to pay it. So that's the kind of environment that you're dealing with in China, that if they form any kind of regulation, there's not going to be a way in which you can utilize a complicated or sophisticated legal strategy to get out of it. You just have to deal with it.
I can believe that. I can believe that because they heavy. Like people always talk about, well, socialism works for Sweden. I'm like, no. Heavy tax. They're not playing with them over there.
It's heavy taxation.
He said, don't China suppress prices on purpose.
Yeah, what prices would he be referring to?
Are you talking about food, beverage, housing?
Yeah, food, beverage, what prices would you be referring to? Yeah.
True. My biggest thing, I think, is you have a lot of men. We're in a fourth turning, and I know I'm going to get on y'all nerves talking about this, but a fourth turning is where you're repairing. Like, look at most American cities. We are constantly repairing roads, repairing bridges. America spent all this money overseas fighting wars, and every report goes, America should have took all that money and put it up in the infrastructure. Yeah. Now our buddies in Singapore and China and all these places, they done spent all their money on infrastructure. They got a lead of us over 20 years. You know what I'm saying? And so when you have 10,000 John Deere workers go on strike,
exactly.
At first I'm like, well, what do they strike? I'm like, well, John Deere does tractors. John Deere does. I mean, it's just all kind of parts and supplies and stuff that go to John Deere office, right? It's not just one thing. Lawnmowers, all that stuff, right? And you just had California say they're going to ban gas lawnmowers. Well, isn't John Deere going to have to do some restructuring and make electronic motors to sell to California? So now their workers know, well, y'all gonna need us to be in here working all these new stuff. Well, we want a better raise. And so again, it's an inflation issue, but people don't realize that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think the John Deere workers were upset that I think Deere's going to do like around $6 billion this year in profit, and they got offered like a 5% raise. So they want to they want a bigger piece of that pie. And I mean, hopefully they get it. Let's see what happens.
We're going to see. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I hate they even share how much companies make now, because it's like, well, I should get paid more. It's like the trucker issue. It's the same issue everybody has with truckers right now. Well, I know the truck will make $7,000 a week. How come I'm only getting $2,000 a week? Well, dang, you gonna pay for the gas? You gonna pay for the repairs? You gonna pay for the insurance? You gonna pay for these tolls? Like it's like this never-ending, it's on the edge. Yeah. What's up, Miss Essex? I would love to talk to you about pew 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 safety in another channel, in another video, but if you got time. So another one here. Curtis Davis asked for your thoughts on Affirm, Upstock, and SoFi fintech.
Yeah, so Affirm and both Upstock, I watched both of them. I think they got a good long-term goal based on how that company's particularly managed. Not fintech to me is a kind of ambiguous term now. Everything's a fintech, but just I would look at their specific business model, not concentrate on fintech, because everything's now being kind of marketed as a fintech, whether or not it's actually one. But I think exactly, I think Affirm has a good model and they have really good partnerships. Same thing with Upstart, but you want to kind of look at management and look at customer concentration. So that's the biggest thing, because Affirm kind of blew up as a result of those partnerships. How long are those partnerships going to last? Are they long-term? Are they short-term? And what are they without those partnerships? And I think they're in a really good space because of those partnerships and because of the way the actual economy is going. Because I told people all the time, if I could finance what I'm selling, I can make a lot more money. So I think the model of the get now, pay back later, that's the same model college is running. A lot of businesses run that model and allows them to make a lot of money, allows them to bring a lot of sales in, because the consumer doesn't have to feel like they got to worry about paying for it at that particular moment. They're just able to get what they want. So that's why I think they're good models, but you really got to look at management of the company. So you got to look into their financials and also look at customer concentration. Like, who are they partnered with? Are they concentrated amongst 1 to 2 partners? What happens if they lose those partners?
Right. So I know Affirm, and then they also have PayPal and a couple other ones allow your customers to buy your products and then pay back
Exactly.
PayPal. And so it's something I've definitely thought about. I thought about just pricing over it to 1,000, and then hey, you can get approved for credit and go about your day on day, right? There's ways to do it. Thank you, Gab. Class was fun today. You guys were good. Okay, it says a new law could force Chinese companies to delist from. Okay, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, that's real, and that's something that you got to look at. Yeah, and like I said, I think that Tesla eventually gets forced out of China. I think they're going to be able to long-term operate in that market, but I don't think China's going to allow them to do that.
Well, even in my mind, I go, what if I was an American company, where can I grow at? Honestly, I would just say South America, because at this point, you got Africa, but then you got multiple barriers there, right?
Yeah.
And I've been watching several things in the morning about different African companies, how they literally have to try to work with so many levels of people just to work in one country. It's like, it's great. And then India shut down and they got extreme poverty, right? So there's limited things you can work there. And so it does keep falling back to China. So it is kind of hard.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they supposedly have the biggest EV market in the future. So I know that's why Tesla wants to be over there to get that footprint. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, this is true. I mean, look at the Southwest pilots. They tried to say it was the weather, and it was like the worst day to say weather because it was absolutely not a cloud over the whole United States. No, it's not too late. Just go ahead and go buy it off the web, classiclabbers.com. It's by design that Republicans send job prices overseas. JC, listen, I want y'all to understand. This has been, let me break it to you down this way. It is who has these lobbyists, who's lobbying these people and giving them money to get tax breaks, and if they don't get the tax breaks, they go overseas.
Yep.
I've told y'all this multiple times, and I am a brown person, okay? When I go to Detroit and land bank wants you to give them $20,000 for a house that ain't got no roof on it, I'm like, and put $50K into it and then write it off and approve it. I go, no. You should be offering me this house for $1. And everybody like, you're insulting us. Am I? There's thousands of properties in Detroit. Be realistic. This isn't realistic. This won't work. You're trying to haggle and you don't have nothing to haggle. Yeah. So this is my biggest thing about investing in the Midwest. They are in a delusional state. They thinking it's 1982 and they still winning. And no, it ain't it. So again, I think unfortunately a lot of African Americans and poor people right now, you're the nudge that you need. If the inflation in 2020 didn't nudge you to go get the tech and go get some skills, nothing will. You'll just be stuck there. These jobs that you're looking for, they ain't even meant for you to be living on long term. Like manufacturing's been going out of America for 30 years now. Exactly. So when I meet a man talking about he's a forklift driver, I'm like, what else you gonna do, baby? Because they close them places down. It don't make sense. So again, PNPL. Yeah, got you. Affirm, Split, Klarna, PayPal, QuadPay. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out now how to go and put them on the website. Go and put them on the website.
I'm gonna have to look into that. Yeah. So that seems to be the big model. They still got another platform to where you can get a piece of your check before you actually get paid.
Yes, I see that. Yeah. And what's crazy is it's factoring, right? Yeah. Truckers always rally against, factoring's bad, but honestly, that's what it is. It's factoring. Yeah. But for a person with a job. Yep. It's like so. This is my biggest thing. If you got bills every day, you got to eat every day, you got to put gas in your car every day, why aren't you getting paid every day? And I want you to really, I tell people all the time, go pull out your easy form 1048. Mm-hmm. Look at all the ways you can report income. It's a long page for reporting income, short page for reporting expenses. Long page for income, again, farming, assets, all kind of stuff, stocks, you name it. So, there's a lot out there. Yeah. Let me see. I don't know. Diamond Dave, are you buying the Facebook dips?
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of see how it settles out. I'm bullish Facebook long term because I like their business. I used to be a media buyer on Facebook, so I really understand their business. Facebook normally has a really, really good fourth quarter. So we want to kind of see how they report in the spring about the fourth quarter. But I'm bullish on Facebook long term. That's not investment advice, but I'm bullish on them as long as they continue to have the same business model, which is just like Zuckerberg said, we sell ads. They still got a massive ad platform, and they still got massive traffic, and they've essentially become like a utility. I don't like everything they do, but it hasn't made them lose their audience. And so as long as media buyers believe that their audience is valid and they continue to buy media on Facebook, they still got a good business.
True.
So I would be bullish on them long term, whether I bought the dip or not. I think Facebook in 5 years to be worth more than this currently right now today.
Right. Well, I mean, even when we had the ads, like just the ad spend, y'all don't understand, like to get in front of people, like every season around April, I think Facebook loses like, I think it's like 600 million, or it's like a real huge number, and people are like, oh my God, what's going on? It's just companies pull their money.
Exactly.
Because most companies, like if I could ever get this through to my digital real estate students, and I'm really pressing hard so they can get it over the next 7 live trainings, the bulk of y'all, 80% of y'all business ideals will make the most money from January to April.
Yeah.
Whether it's fitness, it's food, it's holistic, it's supplements, it's whatever, candles, planners, whatever you thinking of, a bulk of it, because people are in this energy. They're in a season of like wintertime. People are shutting it down, coming in the house, holidays. Thank you. I appreciate it. For sure. There you go.
Okay.
I know they got to listen.
Yeah.
When Tesla was like, they just created a different chip and went on about their business putting cars together, I was like, hey, what? Yeah. That's why when you hear stuff in America, you're like, y'all can figure it out if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jabras, I believe that too. I believe that once China gets enough Tesla IP, they're going to find a reason to get them out of the country. And there's nothing that Musk is going to be able to do about it because, like I said, CEOs don't have power in China like they have power inside the United States. It would benefit him to leave as fast as possible before he gets caught up. So that's the thing, is that I really think that's going to be their play. And I don't know how you guard against it in China, right? But we got to see kind of how it plays out. But Musk thinks he can navigate that relationship. He may be able to. He may be that gifted of a negotiator and of a business person. But I just think he's going to be in a very rough and precarious position trying to operate in China because they're known for that.
How do they recover that? How do they recover that kind of? Well, if I was an American company, why am I going there knowing they still IP?
Because you want to get access to that market, or you're going there because they have the cheapest labor. So one of the things that China did that Russia didn't do, the mistake that Russia made, and I remember this growing up, is they tried to compete with the United States militarily. And what they didn't understand is that they didn't necessarily have the economic ability to do that. So essentially what they did was they ran themselves into a wall. What China realized, and they really did what Western Europeans have figured out how to do, is they looked at the accomplishments and the mistakes of the people that came before them. And they said, we can't make those mistakes and we can copy those accomplishments. So one of the things they did was they offered their workers to the United States corporations as cheap labor. And so the United States companies came over there because they were trying to get out of the United States because why? Labor costs were getting too high. And so the Chinese told them is you can work people here 24 hours a day. It doesn't matter. We will deny them sleep. We will deny them food. It doesn't matter. We just want to make sure that we have the manufacturing contracts inside the United States. So Apple came over there. Every essentially computer manufacturer, all these different corporations came to China, even though we know they steal. So that's why you see like so many counterfeit Nikes, because Nike does so much manufacturing in China. And then what they do is they steal the molds and then sell it as a counterfeit shoe. That's why you see like the fake Jordans in the gas stations. All that's coming from China. But they give you the best or the easiest manufacturing. The guy that started Fubu, one of the things that he offers on Shark Tank as part of his value proposition is he has all the relationships in China to make sure you get good manufacturing. So because there's such a big manufacturing hub, a lot of people will take the risk of getting their IP stolen just because they feel like it's worth it. Because you may like a Nike have brand loyalty. So you'll figure people that are going to buy our stuff because it's Nike are not going to buy counterfeit anyway. So it doesn't matter that they're counterfeit.
But that's like saying the flea markets don't matter, and there's millions in the flea market.
I feel you. But see, I'm about Nike I don't care what the how cheap the counterfeit is, because I'm actually going to try to play basketball in them. So I don't need to shoot. I don't need the shoe splitting on me while I'm trying to come down the court, or I may actually try to run on the shoe. So I don't need those issues. But I can understand why somebody will buy the counterfeit. But no, I'm not going to buy the counterfeit because I've been a Nike head forever. So I'm not going to buy anything I even perceive to be counterfeit Nike because of the price.
Gotcha.
Yes, man.
So some of the articles that's been out here is like how U.S. CEOs can stand up to China, right? So, but this one talked about, okay, their problem is, they made in China 2025 program was rolled out in 2015. The problem is they have a middle income trap, such as Chile, Greece, South Korea, Taiwan. By moving up the production chain, because so many low-end copycats take over their business, right? So I said about China, beefing with India, and India like, what's the problem? Because India's doing what China's doing to us. So some of this is like, how long will the party survive? I thought that was super interesting in several of the articles. It basically said the atrophy is coming. I'm paraphrasing this whole article because we're not going to read it to y'all. Y'all not kids. I'm not going to read it word for word. Long story short is they work their program, but then they program don't have what, Dave? What's the number one thing they don't have right now?
Let me guess. I'm not sure. What is it?
Women. They ain't got no women.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right about that. They killed all these women. I forgot about that.
So now the tree is like basically is saying it's atrophy, because what can you do when you don't have more people? Like it don't matter what kind of plan you got. You don't have enough people.
But see, what they could do if they weren't so, I don't want to say nationalistic, but I would say ethnic, whatever, is start importing women in.
I know. But then what type of women? Got to be white women, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Or Asians, and so it's like,
try to import some women in, because they killed so many of their women off. Now you got a shortage of women. Yeah,
30 million short. That's a lot. Like, imagine just walking around all day and you don't see no women.
Yeah.
That's depressing in itself. It's like if you're a woman and walk around and you don't see no men all day, you'd be like, where the men? No men out. So, so basically a lot of these articles are like, okay, well, China worked so well, but it didn't, because they don't have any more people. China's future, that one's going. You guys, again, don't always take my word for it. I'll take his word for it. Definitely educate yourself on the topic, because I think it's important for you to understand what's coming down the pipeline. This one lady said on Facebook yesterday, and busted out laughing. She's got 9 children, her and her husband, from Puerto Rico. And they live in Atlanta. People are like, why don't you go back to Puerto Rico? She's like, girl, ain't nothing there. Ain't no jobs. And then on top of that, she's like, I'm prosperous. I have a house here. Me and my husband got a car. But somebody, she said, her coworker the other day came in there and was like, girl, can you believe there's shortages at the grocery store and the prices are so high? And she looked at her like, where have you been? Like, you've been under a rock? So my whole thing is, U.S. leapfrog China to become the #1 Bitcoin miner. There's little battles we're having with them.
And see, China gave up their Bitcoin because they want to make sure that they were worried about Bitcoin devaluing their cryptocurrency. So they gave up all their Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining facilities.
Then also U.S. blocks solar panel materials from China. I mean, we doing all kind of stuff. We're frenemies and we beef it. So even though Donald Trump is gone and everybody acts like Donald Trump was out here wilding, we stay wilding with him. This ain't no new thing.
I mean, they're trying to make a play to be like the #1 superpower in the world, and we're kind of trying to stop that.
Also, what I liked about that thing talking about the fourth turning, Diamond David, was like, all the people, once you get to a certain age, all the people that could help and fix the problem are too old. Right? I always ask people, like, by the time you want to have a whole generation of young plumbers and mechanics, all the plumbers are like 60-something years old, they're cranky. They're not trying to mess with a bunch of young people wanting to learn something at the last minute.
I feel you.
200 moving ounce bounce. Hold on.
200 moving average bounce.
Oh, what happened to the home shopping network?
I don't know what happened to HSN.
Did it buzz up? That must be what you're talking about. Okay. China gonna sell that IP in the market.
They probably will.
That's actually smart. It is slavery. Like they
Yeah.
literally had to put those nets out so people stopped jumping out the window.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
And then did you see where those companies left China and now the workers are just staying at the place? They
No,
got
so I
nowhere
didn't.
to go.
Yeah, I didn't see that. But they, I mean, they had a massive industrialization move, got everybody to come to the cities to work.
Mm-hmm.
But the conditions were terrible. Like you wouldn't want to work. But they that was their selling point, was that we got all this cheap labor because we got all these people that just don't have anything to do because they got a massive population.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the part of why this even stood out to me is because if you go look at documentaries on China, people what they would do is build the house on the first floor, then they build a second set of stairs, and then build the second floor where you got married and had kids, and then build a third floor. So they had these houses. It was like an old school system in the farming areas. Well, this whole documentary it drove in these fields and these farming areas, and it was just stairs to nothing because all the people moved to the city, right? The children moved to the city. So it's interesting. Let me see. I don't want to show y'all this one because it got Trump face. Y'all gonna feel some type of way. Let me find the other one. Basically, it's talking about China's having labor pains, but there's a photo if I can find it, y'all. It's literally workers just sitting around like we just out here. We got nowhere to go. Let me see.
Yeah, I used to get hats manufactured out there. They got real good deals too, compared to American companies. Mm-hmm. Even once you pay the shipping, it's still a good deal because they just work so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, Jabrash, you're right. And that's what I was telling people. If they do something business-wise, there's no recourse. And they know that. So, they just do what they want to do.
No, what you're going to do it?
Exactly. So, but I mean, but if you think as a business, because I know people that have gotten, I used to know people who do a lot of e-commerce, and they will go to China to source goods and things of that nature, and that worked for them because they was able to get stuff really, really cheap, bring it back to the United States. So you just got to try to figure out what works for you. But, the counterfeit laws that we're kind of used to, the IP protection laws that we're used to inside the United States don't really exist like that in China.
Yeah. Counterfeit is one of the best arguments. I thought Tesla company standout was making their patents part of the public domain. Does anyone else remember Musk speaking about that before? Well, there's lawsuits going on. I don't know if you've heard of these someday. It's called Right to Repair.
Okay. Yeah, I heard about
the black guy that has that tech channel where he fixed Teslas.
Yeah, I've seen that.
He's a part of that lawsuit because they do them. This is how they do them. They do them by cities.
Okay.
Right? Because let's say somebody's fixing a bunch of laptops, and then all of a sudden, Apple will say, "Hey, you can't do that no more. You fooling around with our stuff," because they'll get their parts from China, and there's different sourcing places.
Okay.
The whole right to repair is a shop going, "Hey, I deserve to get. If you get your stuff from China and you're not getting it made in America special, then I, as a repairman, I should also get access to those parts."
Okay.
Well, that's Tesla's whole business model. What happens when you buy a Tesla? You got to go take it to get it repaired at the Tesla base. You can't just take it any old place.
Okay.
Not even the tires. So Musk may be saying some of that stuff, but he don't mean it because he a part of them lawsuits too. He be suing them. I be like, damn, I thought you were sharing.
Okay, so you can't even get aftermarket parts for those cars.
Well, that's what they were doing. Like the one guy from New York, his is real popular, where they'll take it to the Apple store like, "Oh, we can't do nothing for you." Well, then they'll bring it to him and he'll fix it. And he'll have his parts, and they'll be like, "Oh, how you get this fixed?" Well, I took it over here. And so that's a lot what's going on. The lawsuits are like, y'all putting, they're trying to say they put non-quality parts in there. And then when you talk to the guys, they're like, "We're getting the parts from the same place you get them in China."
Yeah, exactly.
So
they done figured out their Chinese supplier.
Mm-hmm. Tyler Bennett just cutting up in here. India does have different patents. Yes.
Yeah.
This is two. Louis Rossmann is one of the biggest ones that participates in it. Yep, right to repair. And so, anything you want to leave us with about China, or what are the things you're working on this fall for your students?
Yeah, so what I want people to do from a Chinese standpoint is just like I say, be aware of the volatility. Kind of understand what direction you may think is going into, and always expect the volatility kind of based on the political situation there. And just really understand that the environment there is not like the United States. You don't necessarily have the same protections, but it doesn't mean that it's not a good place to try to get return. So just kind of understand everything from a comprehensive standpoint and try to, manage your risk. And I think that can put you in the best position to be successful.
Would you say it's a get in, get out?
It depends on the scenario. So I kind of say maybe depending on the company, but also maybe right now, if you're looking at companies like Alibaba, it may be long-term.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just depending on the scenario, it may be a get in and get out, but also with some of these companies, the way they've sold off, they may rebound, but it may be a 4 or 5 year play. So you got to kind of take that into consideration, but also what is the political? Because in America, we have relatively smooth transitions of power. Mm-hmm. We got to find out in China in the fall of 2022 whether that's going to take place.
Oh, we gonna see.
Or is there going to be a back and forth, and then that can shake the market up for those corporations, and then you can see another big sell-off again. So we can't always look through everything from the United States lens, because we have really, even though we get a lot of media that's very inflammatory, we got a very stable democracy here.
Very stable.
I'm not concerned that I don't care who gets voted president. It's not going to be like a civil war behind it. People are just going to go back to work because they got bills to pay at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
I love it. I love it. All right, you guys, listen. Diamond Dave's always got the information. Listen, if you want to be a part of the highest paid part-time job, I'm saying it right. In America, definitely hit the links in the chat. I'll put them in the description as total. Again, remember, you guys, real traders make money whether the market goes up or goes down. Diamond Dave, let me show you this shirt real quick before we leave.
Okay, do it.
Nancy Pelosi, cracks us up at all times. So
yeah. Nancy's an expert trader.
I'm gonna show it to you, man. Hold on.
Expert trader. She's one of the best traders I've known.
Let me see. Is it gonna pull up? It's Wall Street Bets. These guys crack me up.
Yeah.
They stay on top of it. On top of it. Like, I would go work for her husband. All that stuff he doing.
Exactly. Yeah. He getting to the money. He getting to the bag. For real. Yeah. He not playing at all.
Oh, we gonna let me pull it up?
He not playing at all. I tell people, you got to get into trading, because all these top people, they trade, but they never gonna tell you about it.
Okay, never.
Yeah, they never tell you about it. Your husband, he's serious.
He ain't playing with y'all.
Yeah, he not.
Let me see, Wall Street Bets. When you want to show somebody something, they want to cut up. Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
Maybe take me to Discord. I ain't trying to talk to that part of the Wall Street memes. No. They be in here talking about all kind of stuff. Okay, let me see. Right when I want to show y'all something cool. There we go. Boom, we found it. Okay. Let me show you. Because we were talking about how do we get more people into the stock market, and honestly, as Americans, I'm not surprised. It's comedy, making fun of something.
Yeah.
That's how we get them in here, making fun of something. So this is their website, and again, Lehman Brothers Risk Management Department.
Okay, 2008.
Okay, now then you had Nancy Pelosi. What's it? It's Pelosi Capital. And I was like, I'm going to buy this.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that.
Because I'm like, anybody finds this, conflict of interest, nobody seems to think, that's just fine. Nancy Pelosi husband has made all this money off this stuff. Like, nobody's even thinking it's a joke. And so I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, that is funny. Yeah, they get into it. Pelosi and her husband, they'll probably leave when she finally retires. They'll probably be $1 billion.
It's gotta be.
Yeah,
it's gotta be at this. Because they pushing hard.
Yeah,
when I saw that Tesla thing, I said, "Oh, they trying to go out with a bang."
Yeah, they're killing it. They really are. And she never talks about that, but they're killing it.
And who's gonna say something to her?
Yeah, I feel you. But at least give your constituency like a hint or something. She's killing it, man.
So anyways, all right, you guys. I'm going to go out here and get some of the sunshine because it's cold in here. Yeah, AKB's $1 billion. I'm telling you, go look up Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, we worth $1 billion. Because they're understating their net worth. they'll be worth $1 billion by the time she's done.
I mean, they're going to be 80, 89 years old, just laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. Thank you, Jonathan, for coming on.
No
I
problem.
appreciate it.